this is an SOS. We've reached a day of reckoning, people. The Illuminati are everywhere. The symbol of the Illuminati is the all-seeing eye, and if you look carefully, you can see eyes everywhere.
We live in a strange time. Extraordinary events keep happening that undermine the stability of our world. Suicide bombs, waves of refugees, Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, even Brexit. Yet those in control seem unable to deal with them. And no one has any vision of a different or a better kind of future. This film will tell the story of how we got to this strange place. It is about how over the past 40 years, politicians, financiers and technological utopians, rather than face up to the real complexities of the world, retreated. Instead, they constructed a simpler version of the world in order to hang on to power. And as this fake world grew, all of us went along with it, because the simplicity was reassuring. Even those who thought they were attacking the system, the radicals, the artists, the musicians, and our whole counterculture, actually became part of the trickery. Because they too had retreated into the make-believe world. Which is why their opposition has no effect, and nothing ever changes. But this retreat into a dream world allowed dark and destructive forces to fester and grow outside. Forces that are now returning to pierce the fragile surface of our carefully constructed fake world.
Wow, look at that. What the heck is that? Oh my God, look at that. Holy crap. It's just moving really slowly. Wow.
Oh. Come here.
What is it doing?
What the heck? Guys, it's a freaking
Whoa!
Oh my gosh!
Wow!
What the
Dude,
is happening?
what is happening?
What is going on?
Oh my gosh, Tom!
Holy shit.
Oh my god, guys!
Guys, is that a freaking UFO? Wait, can you get a good video? Good.
What is it?
What the hell?
In the 1980s, more and more people in the United States reported seeing unexplained objects and lights in the sky. At the same time, investigators who believed in UFOs revealed that they had discovered top-secret government documents that stated that alien craft had visited Earth. The documents had been hidden for 20 years, and they seemed to prove that there had been a giant cover-up. But actually, the reality was even stranger. The American government might have been making it all up, that they had created a fake conspiracy to deliberately mislead the population. The lights that people imagined were UFOs may in reality have been new high-technology weapons that the US government were testing. The government had developed the weapons because they, in turn, imagined that the Soviet Union was far stronger than it was, and still wanted to conquer the world. The government wanted to keep the weapons secret, but they couldn't always hide their appearance in the skies. So it is alleged that they chose a number of people to use to spread the rumour that these were really alien visitations. One of those chosen was called Paul Benowitz, who lived outside a giant airbase in New Mexico and had noticed strange things going on.
Years later, I sat down with Paul at dinner and told Paul exactly that everything we did was a sanctioned counterintelligence operation to convince him that what he was seeing was UFOs, and that what we didn't want him to know was that he tapped into something on the base, and we didn't want him to ever disclose that. We kind of planted the seed in Paul that what he was seeing and what he was hearing and what he was collecting was, in fact, probably maybe UFOs.
Benovitz and others chosen by the agency were, it is alleged, given a series of forged documents. Many of them were top-secret memos by the military describing sightings of unidentified aerial vehicles. The documents spread like wildfire, and they formed the basis for the wave of belief in UFOs that would spread through America in the 1990s.
What the fuck is that, nigga? That's crazy, bro. Is that space,
And it also fueled the wider, growing belief that governments lied to you, that conspiracies were real. What the Reagan administration were doing, both with Colonel Gaddafi and with the UFOs, was a blurring of fact and fiction. But it was part of an even broader program. The president's advisors had given it a name. They called it perception management, and it became a central part of the American government during the 1980s. The aim was to tell dramatic stories that grabbed the public imagination, not just about the Middle East, but about Central America and the Soviet Union. And it didn't matter if the stories were true or not, providing they distracted people, and you, the politician, from having to deal with the intractable complexities of the real world.
Reality became less and less of an important factor in American politics. It wasn't what was real that was driving anything, or the facts driving anything. It was how you could turn those facts, or twist the facts, or even make up the facts, to make your opponent look bad. So perception management became a device, and the facts could be twisted. Anything could be anything. It becomes, how can you manipulate the American people?
And in the process, reality becomes what?
Reality becomes simply something to play with to achieve that end. Reality is not important in this context. Reality is simply something that you handle.
Documents obtained by the Bureau of Investigative Journalism have uncovered covert propaganda missions carried out by the Pentagon following the invasion of Iraq. It details some $500 million US paid to a British PR firm to create fake insurgent videos and other materials. Manila Chan has this story tonight.
The invasion of Iraq was highly profitable, at least for one media and public relations company who assisted the Pentagon by creating mock insurgency videos. The British advertising firm Bell Pottinger helped the DoD for years in PSYOPs campaigns. Documents obtained by the Bureau of Investigative Journalism show that in 2006, Bell received $120 million from the Pentagon for their initial services, and later received over $500 million for their video and production and editing services from 2007 to 2011. Martin Wells worked at Bell Pottinger for about 2 years and was one of the video editors from London shipped out to Camp Victory in Iraq.
Whilst I was working there were 3 different types of strand, really. So we would do the news items that would go out on the news and go out on various channels locally. The kind of stories, a bomb would go off, a car bomb would go off, people would die, we would have people out there filming it, it would come back, we would then edit it into stories that would then go out on various channels within the region. And we were to make it, as best we could, look as if it was made locally, which it is shot locally and it is edited locally. It was more to make it look like it was Arabic.
So far, Wells is the only editor to come forth with his story for the now defunct division of Bell Pottinger. Mr. Wells went on to say that the videos he created would be planted by the U.S. military at various homes and raid sites in the form of disks that were encoded to be trackable with Google Analytics, since the format was all written in Real Player. Now, Wells's work was directly approved by high-ranking officials such as former General David Petraeus, who was then commander of the coalition forces in Iraq. While the British PR firm doesn't deny the contracts and work done for the Department of Defense, the DoD will not specify on the actual material created, citing that it was classified due to the Joint Psychological Operations Task Force intelligence gathering methods. So according to Wells, these types of propaganda videos eventually made their way to places like Iran, Syria, and even here, stateside. For the news with Ed Schultz in Washington, I'm Manila Chan, RT.
The first revolution started in Tunisia, but it quickly spread to Egypt. On January the 25th, 2011, thousands of Egyptians came out in groups across Cairo and then started moving towards Tahrir Square. It seemed like a spontaneous uprising, but the internet had played a key role in organising the groups. One of the main activists was an Egyptian computer engineer called Wael Ghonim. He worked for Google in Egypt, but he had also set up the Facebook site that played the key role in organising the first protests. As hundreds of thousands took over Tahrir Square, Ghonim gave an interview on Egyptian TV.
ما كانوش مصدقين يعني ايه شويه شباب على انا كنت بسميهم على الصفحه زمان عيال الفيسبوك هم كانوا بيسمونا زمان ايام وقفات خالد سعيد في اول ما طلعنا خالص شويه العيال اللي على الفيسبوك اللي بيعملوا شويه دوشه مش مصدقين ان الشباب دول نزلوا بعشرات الالاف يوم ال 25 فارجوكم يا جماعه مفيش ابطال الابطال هم الناس اللي في الشارع الابطال هو كل واحد فينا مفيش النهارده واحد راكب الحصان هو اللي بيضرب السرج ويحرك الناس اوعى حد يضحك عليكم ويقول لكم كده دي ثوره شباب الانترنت دي ثوره شباب الانترنت اللي بقت بعد كده ثوره شباب مصر اللي بعد كده بقت ثوره كل مصر.
But Ghonim was also overwhelmed by the power this new technology had. That a computer engineer with a keyboard could call out thousands of people, some of whom then died in the midst of the protests.
أنا عايز أقول لكل أم وكل أب بجد فقد ابنه. أنا آسف بس دي مش غلطتنا. والله العظيم غلطتنا. دي غلطة كل واحد كان ماسك في السلطة ومثبت فيها. عايز أمشي.
Many liberals in the West saw this as proof of the revolutionary power of the internet. Again, it seemed to be able to organise a revolution without leaders. A revolution powerful enough to topple a brutal dictator who had been backed by America and the West for 30 years. But the internet radicals were not the only ones who saw their dreams being fulfilled in the Arab Spring. Many of the political leaders of the West also enthusiastically supported the revolutions because it seemed to fit with their simple idea of regime change. It might have failed in Iraq, but now the people everywhere were rising up to rid themselves of the evil tyrants, and democracy would flourish. So when an uprising began in Libya, Britain, France and America supported it. And suddenly, Colonel Gaddafi stopped being a hero of the West. All the politicians and the public relations people and the academics who had all promoted him as a global thinker suddenly disappeared. And Gaddafi became yet again an evil dictator who had to be overthrown. His son Saif said, "The way these people are disowning me and my father is disgusting. Just a few months ago, we were being treated as honoured friends. Now that rebels are threatening our country, these cowards are turning on us. The version of cyberspace that was rising up seemed to be very much like William Gibson's original vision. That behind the superficial freedoms of the web were a few giant corporations with opaque systems that controlled what people saw and shaped what they thought. And what was even more mysterious was how they made their decisions about what you should like and what should be hidden from you. But then, the other utopian vision of cyberspace re-emerged.
Taking over the roadway. Take it!
After the financial crash of 2008, the politicians saved the banks. But they did practically nothing about the massive corruption that was revealed in its wake. And the reason they gave was that it might destabilise the system.
Okay. He's ready. It's like Murphy Christmas.
We're gonna set to send up a flare. When he sees it, it's gonna light up your world like a candle.
All right. This is it. The dawn of a new era. Behold, a new world order.
We're gonna need some backup.